Welcome back to another video, and in today's video we have WrestleMania 42 results, and this was kind of a 50-50 WrestleMania. Night 1 might not have been the greatest, but Night 2 definitely was a banger, and I enjoyed it a whole lot more. But what are your Night 1 thoughts and your Night 2 thoughts?
Yeah, overall, Night 1, I think, was just weird overall. A lot of the matches, as you'll know, for both nights, just didn't get a lot of time, especially when they needed them. Some of those matches on Night 1, I think, definitely deserved a lot more time, but unfortunately, they didn't get that. Whereas Night 2, I think everything they got the right amount of time on Night 2. So yeah, I think overall, Night 2, like we said, has definitely cleared Night 1 again.
And for our first match of Night 1, we have the Usos and LA Knight taking on the Vision and I Show Speed. Now, the match, there's nothing really too much to really talk about. There was a moment where Jimmy Uso hit a nice whisper up the wind off the top rope. I Show Speed hit a pretty good body slam. There was a funny moment where he had LA Knight in a little headlock, and then LA Knight just kind of walking around with them on his shoulders while in the headlock. Pretty funny moment. But the big thing that most people are going to talk about is going to be I Show Speed doing the frog splash off the top turnbuckle to the announce table on the outside. A big surprising spot. You don't see too many celebrities take big risky spots like that, but I Show Speed, being the person that he is, of course would do something like that, and that was a pretty cool moment, I will say. But the match itself, not too much to go on about. The Usos and LA Knight do pick up the win in about 7 minutes, so not a whole lot to go on about, and I'm not sure about this one being the one that starts the show.
Yeah, this match was just overall almost useless. Obviously, it was kind of just a showcase for I Show Speed and kind of just introducing him to the wrestling world. But I think I would have much rather see the tag team match for the tag titles between Usos and the Vision, and then you have LA Knight and Speed kind of get involved, a separate match tomorrow night on Raw. I think that would have been a lot better, but they end up going with this. You want LA Knight on the card, but at the same time, if we're missing people like Io Sky, I don't mind missing LA Knight either on the WrestleMania. So yeah, overall, this match, whole bunch of nothing, and I guess cool that I Show Speed has a moment.
In the last match on the free portion of WrestleMania that aired on ESPN, we have Jacob Fatu defeating Drew McIntyre in an unsanctioned match. Now, this one went a little bit longer, 14 minutes on this match, and it definitely deserved it. I feel like they earned every bit of the time because they definitely put their bodies on the line with what they were given. There are a lot of weapons involved, steel steps, chairs, toolboxes, wrenches, all kind of stuff was involved. Unfortunately, no blood. I do feel like it kind of needed that to put it over the top and make it that little bit extra special, but we didn't end up seeing that, and we got a pretty good match nonetheless, though.
Yeah, this was very solid. I do wish they got a little bit more extreme with it. It's an unsanctioned matches, so you kind of do expect it to get a little bit more brutal. And I think also with this kind of following up the match previously, I feel like this definitely would have been a way better match to start the show, especially being unsanctioned. You can still call the match previously the opener match because this isn't under a WWE brand match. So I think that would have been a lot better in terms of just kind of storytelling, kayfabe-wise as well. But besides that, this match was very solid. Glad Jacob gets the win. I'm sure he'll be going after a world champion soon. So yeah, it should overall good night. Hopefully Drew McIntyre can bounce back in the upcoming months.
And for our first match on the main show of WrestleMania, we have Brie Bella and the surprising debut of Paige taking Nikki Bella's spot. That was a pretty big pop for her. People definitely were excited for that. I was pretty excited myself as well. We see her go against the defending champions, the Irresistible Forces, Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss, and as well as Bayley and Lyra Valkyria in a fatal 4-way women's tag team match for those titles. Obviously, this is a fatal 4-way tag team match, so you have all 4 women starting off in the ring, and then, obviously their tag team partners will be on the outside. And this was also a match that probably needed a little bit more time. It was pretty much like we mentioned about I Show Speed in that match. This is pretty much the same thing in this one, but just for Paige instead. And granted, Paige did look pretty good, and I am pretty excited to see what she does going forward. It's kind of a weird spot for her to be in the tag team division, though, but I get it. With the Nikki Bella injury, they might not have wanted to take Brie Bella out of the spot just because Nikki got hurt, and it was just kind of a weird thing, although there definitely was better teams you could have replaced them with. But Paige and Brie Bella do pick up the win in a definitely kind of mid-match here.
Yeah, this one was definitely weird. It felt like the night where Bayley and Lyra could have really took something home and made a big statement when to kind of get some more momentum out of them two. But Lyra has been killing it this year. Bayley has also just been on doing great stuff. It is unfortunately she doesn't get as much time as Lyra, it feels like. But Paige coming back, I'll be honest, I don't know how to feel. I don't really care for too much in ring. When she was in AEW, didn't really care for her. But now that she's in WWE, I think her style will just work a little bit more. However, I don't know what to really expect. She's not my type of wrestler, but she is back in WWE. I think she'll have a lot more fun here. She's with Brie Bella and Nikki. Seems like we'll have some type of run where we'll see Nikki want to be back in the tag team division, and we'll have some type of feud between these 3 women, probably going into SummerSlam.
Yeah, the match for this one was kind of whatever, but I did enjoy the kind of emotion of Paige winning that title on her debut. You could definitely tell she still has a lot of passion for the business. She loves professional wrestling, and it definitely runs in her family. And, I'm sure she was excited to have this big moment on the WrestleMania. So seeing people get that emotional and be excited for the moment they're being given definitely kind of bumps it up a notch for me, for some matches at the very least. But for our next one, Becky Lynch defeats AJ Lee for the Intercontinental Champion. This was a surprisingly good match. We've seen a couple of matches from these two in the past, and it was pretty good. Nothing crazy, nothing bad though, but this one was really, really good. The only problem with it was it only went 8 minutes, and this was a match that I really would have enjoyed probably like 4 or 5 more minutes onto this match, and I think they would have made it a banger because they did a really good job in this match.
Yeah, up until this point in the night, this was definitely the best match. Becky definitely kind of did a lot of I would say the heavy carrying, but AJ Lee did her job as well. Like we kind of talked about, she kind of bumped around a lot for Becky Lynch to kind of be the more dominant heel in this match. But yeah, I do like the result of Becky Lynch winning. I don't know where AJ Lee goes from here. She could be stepping away. I think she had some type of like backstage interview after WrestleMania, and she said she might be stepping away for a little bit. So who knows what's up for her next, but I am glad Becky, somebody who will be there a lot more often than AJ, is going to carry this Intercontinental Champion until we see the next champion come about again. So yeah, who knows who that'll be. Hopefully we get the idea very soon.
And then the match that kind of just got thrown onto WrestleMania last minute. We have Gunther defeating Seth Rollins in what would be a pretty good match, but it would kind of have a flaw to it and what would happen at the end of it. And that would be a Braun Breaker interference with the big kind of spear at the end. So it isn't like a clean Gunther win over Seth Rollins. I didn't necessarily expect it to be, but also I just want to put out these two worked really well together. The kind of combinations that they put together, they worked really well off of each other. The big man, little man offense really pay dividends with this match. Gunther always works good with pretty much anyone, and Seth Rollins can also make it work with pretty much anyone. So you put two goats in the ring together, and they're going to put together some magic. And this was another one that I even wish this one would have had another 10 minutes even, because they were definitely kind of peaking at a moment, but they didn't really hit the peak. It seemed like they were kind of getting to it, but never officially hit it. But yeah, this was a great match though.
Yeah, Gunther and Seth had a very, it can only have been so bad, and these two men definitely killed it. Seth's entrance was definitely very unique, coming out with the black contact and then quickly switching it, which was kind of a nice seamless transition, and then also the gear, the smoke coming out of the vest, I think was really nice. But yeah, very good match for these two. I'm glad that they did get some type of time, but it does feel something that was kind of just to fill in to get both these men on the card. Braun Breaker kind of coming back now, interfering. I think we'll see that him versus Seth probably at Backlash now, which I think makes perfectly good sense. Or if we even see Gunther get added to a triple threat to kind of really finish up the business between these three. I think either way that works. But yeah, glad that Gunther gets the win, and hopefully we do get something big for him in the coming weeks.
Yeah, so they came in pretty good at 17 minutes, so they got a decent amount of time, but I still, like I mentioned, would have rather another 5-10 minutes potentially on this match to let them fully get to the peak of their capabilities, because this was a really good match. But our next one was also a really good match that also needed more time, and that was Liv Morgan defeating Stephanie McCurry in the Women's World Championship match in just 7 minutes. Now this is almost a shame. This was an amazing match. I absolutely loved it. We've seen Stephanie McCurry like really just kind of get the match started early, and she was just having this fast-paced offense that you don't really see too much in WWE, but she was able to pull it off with Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan did really good as well. We've seen Stephanie do the Oblivion. We've seen Liv Morgan do the Devil's Kiss, and it was a pretty good match. But once again, in 7 minutes, there's not much you can do with that amount of time. So I really, really wish this match had 10, potentially even 15 minutes added to it, because I think these two women could have put on a match of the year contender.
This was a very good match. Obviously, I can't say too much just because it felt like this could have definitely been a way longer. I don't get why we're having a women's world championship match in the co-main event to only get 7 minutes. It's really just makes no sense. I get we have to have ads on the show, but at the same time, we have 4 hours on air and we only have an hour and 30 minutes basically of actually in-ring wrestling. So I think we can at least spare some more for the women's world championship. Like I said, this is your biggest championship on Raw, your biggest brand. So yeah, it makes no sense. Also, Liv Morgan, one of your biggest stars as well, so it's not like these are two lower class women on the card for the world champion. These are two of your biggest names in your women's division, and they can't even get 10 minutes.
And for our main event, this is the big controversial match of the night, with Cody Rhodes defeating Randy Orton, but kinda with the help of Pat McAfee. We seen him get involved at the beginning of the match during the introduction, kind of ruined Randy Orton's introduction, did his own form, and then also while they were talking about Cody, just before they were about to ring the bell, he attacks him with the microphone. 5-10 minute pre-match basically between Cody Rhodes and Pat McAfee and Randy Orton, and then eventually Jelly Roll would get involved. But this match was really good. It kind of had a slow pace build all the way up till the ending, and then the ending kind of just died once the ending officially did happen. But we see a RKO from Randy Orton to the referee, and that kind of takes him out. We see Pat McAfee come out in the referee gimmick. He comes down to do a 3 count but only gets a 2. I assume that pisses off Randy Orton. He RKOs Pat McAfee. Cody takes advantage of that, hits him with a crossroads, and he gets him with a 1, 2, 3. And I'll let you explain what happens after the big Cody Rhodes win.
Yeah, so after Cody gets his win, he's finally getting able to celebrate after being bloodied up. He also had a busted up face, so he was definitely feeling the damages up from Randy. But as he does that, Randy Orton attacks him. He takes the belt from him, and he throws it back at Cody. He backs up, and we see the first time in quite a few years, I believe, finally get a punt from Randy Orton. He clocks Cody Rhodes and completely wipes him out. He was supposed to be at WWE World today on Sunday, and he was completely removed from that. Apparently he has an orbital bone injury, so who knows obviously what's true. I'm sure it is a little bit more work than it is, but definitely the pictures after definitely say that Cody Rhodes definitely got hit with that very badly. But for my opinion on this match, it definitely was kind of mixed feelings. I think there's a bit too much like with what ended up happening with Pat McAfee. It just really feels like that was for literally nothing. I get he has some type of a draw, he's going to talk about it on his shows, but I truly feel like that was completely unnecessary, and it ruined something that could have been way better. I get that the little Jelly Roll elbow drop from the tables, I think that was kind of cool, but besides that, it felt like a whole bunch of nothing. So yeah, interested to see where this goes for Randy. It feels like he's definitely not done with Cody. I definitely think we'll get a rematch at Backlash, where I do think, depending on what obviously the story's going into it, I think we could see Randy get the win over there.
Yeah, I predicted a double turn in our prediction video, and we kind of got it, but then they just kind of erased it at the end with the attack of Randy Orton to Cody Rhodes and the punt and the hit with the title belt, all that sort of stuff. So I don't really know exactly where they're gonna go with this feud, but I am interested now because a kind of stipulation that was added onto this match was that if Randy Orton lost, Pat McAfee would never show up again. So that kind of takes him out of this feud, so maybe they just want to get this match done just so they could kind of move forward and do this without Pat McAfee. But yeah, definitely an interesting night of WrestleMania with night 1. Not the greatest night, and potentially even one of the worst nights of WrestleMania in the past 4 or 5 years potentially. There was no bad matches, but there was just nothing good to really grasp onto. And then with the amount of time a lot of these matches got, there were just a lot of complaints to be had about this. With the ad time that they had between every single match, we got a 4 or 5 minute ad break, and then there was a 4 or 5 minute ad break before the entrances would start. Then the entrances start, then the bell finally rings, and it was just kind of a big mess on night 1. But they definitely cleaned it up on night 2 that we'll get into in a moment. But now we can get into the good stuff because we are on to night 2 of WrestleMania, and this was a much better vibe throughout the entire night. The crowd was much better. I felt much better about every single match on the card, and in general, this felt like a WrestleMania.
Yeah, everything to the presentation of each match definitely felt a lot grander. It felt like this was what everybody kind of paid for. This felt like the actual WrestleMania card, whereas some of those matches on night 1 definitely felt like that could have been wasted on the night before on SmackDown, or the night after at Raw, or just another TV show instead of WrestleMania. But this is where we actually get into the big stuff.
But one moment that I forgot to mention about night 1 was John Cena would come out, mention an attendance of about 51,000 if I'm not mistaken, but Bianca Belair would come out and announced that she is pregnant and not returning to WWE anytime soon. So obviously a very happy moment for her. A little bit disappointed that she won't be returning to the ring, of course, because she is one of the best wrestlers in the world. So I would love to see her in ring. But very happy for her and her family and Montez and all of that stuff. So a pretty cool moment there. But something that I brought this up to mention is they did have 51,000 on night 1, but 55,000 on night 2. So that just goes to show what people were really excited for going into WrestleMania. But for our first match of night 2, we have Obafemi defeating Brock Lesnar in only 4 minutes and 40 seconds. So pretty much a squash match. Brock Lesnar got a little bit of offense in, but that was also kind of off of a cheap kind of move from the outside where he kind of did a head drag on the top rope. Then he came in, got a couple Germans in and things of that nature. But Obafemi just pretty much dominated. And yeah, this was exactly what I wanted to be, exactly what it needed to be. And this was perfect way to start the show.
I pretty much agree exactly with you. This is exactly what it needed to be. Oba, I think, definitely had his moment where he kind of thought, okay, Brock is getting the offense in now. This could get a little scary, but Obafemi at the start kind of was kind of no-selling some of the Brock offense, and also just overpowering him as well. So yeah, Obafemi definitely picking up this win was definitely something that I was hoping for. I definitely didn't expect it, but I am glad it did happen. But I think another big surprising thing I think a lot of people will be talking about after this weekend has concluded is that Brock Lesnar will not be at SummerSlam. He will not be in WWE anymore because he has retired, at least that's what it seemed to be. After the match, he had his little moment in the ring, and he took off his gloves, he took off the boots, and yeah, he seems like he is done. Obviously, a lot of people expected him to be at SummerSlam because it is in Minneapolis, so it made sense. But with Obafemi, and not only getting this big win over him, also is now the man to retire Brock Lesnar, which I think is also a huge feat and could lead to some big matches for Obafemi in the upcoming weeks.
Yeah, I believe the story that WWE wanted to tell with this match was Brock Lesnar kind of being overconfident going into the match, but then getting dominated by Obafemi kind of shattered that confidence and made him overthink like, okay, I can't really hang with these boys anymore. He's the new big dog. I have to kind of leave because I cannot get my win back over this guy. And yeah, I pretty much agree with him. I think he shouldn't have got his win back over him. I think if he would have had the SummerSlam match, that would have been fine as well. I would have been okay with him having that one more match in his hometown. But this is an amazing way to go out. It makes Obafemi look even better. And yeah, I absolutely love it. Brock Lesnar put on an amazing performance throughout this entire feud. And thank you, Brock Lesnar. I guess he did a pretty good job. Obviously, I'm not a huge fan of him for many reasons outside of the ring, but inside the ring during his return, I have definitely enjoyed a lot of it. Outside of the John Cena squash match, I don't forgive him for that. For the second match of the night, we're going to keep the energy up. We have Penta defeating Javon Evans, Dragon Lee, JD McDonough, Rusev, and Rey Mysterio in a ladder match for the IC title. Now, this was a banger match. Everyone got their stuff in during this match. JD McDonough pretty much got ragdolled by everyone in this match at different points. It was kind of a little funny thing just seeing them just kind of go from person to person, just kind of getting their finishers done to them on ladders, on table, whatever the case was. But this was a very fun match. Penta picks up the win and retains the title. I was definitely hoping Javon would win. That was my first choice, but Penta was my second, so I'm not going to complain.
Yeah, this is exactly what it needs to be. A good 15 minutes here for the guys who have been the work rate guys on Raw the past few weeks. So I'm definitely glad that we got to see the people like Javon, Dragon Lee, even JD and Rusev. I think they've been doing great stuff, especially Rusev. I think he's somebody who I think they wants to use a little bit more, but they can't find stuff for him. And I think inserting him here to kind of be like the big brute of the group. He's probably not going to climb the ladder too fast, but he'll be able to kind of throw some guys around, especially with a lot of these guys being a lot of smaller guys as well. So that made for a great dynamic. But Penta won the title. I do agree. I wish Javon would have won. He'd have been the youngest guy to ever win a championship at WrestleMania, so I think that would have been a cool moment to have. And especially with some of the other results we've seen throughout the night, it would have made sense for another NXT guy to pick up a big win. But unfortunately, Penta picks up the win, which I am glad for, to hopefully continue this run and get some things really going for him, because I think we can definitely have some great matches for him.
Yeah, eventually we do got to get Penta back to that tag team division with Rey Fenix, but right now he is on an incredible run, and I'm curious to see how far he can take it. Is he kind of peaked right now with this IC title, or can he eventually challenge for that world title? Because I would love to see it. I know a lot of people would love to see it. I just don't know if WWE feels the same way. And for our third match of the night, we have Trick Williams defeating Sami Zayn, becoming a first-time United States champion. And this was a really good match. I definitely enjoyed it. There wasn't a whole lot to go on both with the in-ring action, but just the moment of Trick Williams winning, the entrance of Trick Williams with Lil Yachty coming out, definitely a fun time with this match, and kind of a fun time as well with the crowd kind of booing Sami Zayn, cheering Trick Williams, even though it's kind of vice versa roles with Trick Williams being the heel and Sami Zayn being the babyface of the match. Definitely enjoyed the match, and it was a really good one, but not too much to go on about since it was only around 8 or 9 minutes.
Yeah, this one, I still don't know how to feel. I do like the match. I think it was definitely a great decision for Trick to win. But the only thing I think I have a complaint about is that was Sami Zayn needed for this? If the goal was for Sami Zayn to be a heel after all of this, I think that's fine. but we didn't get it at Mania. I think if that was the case, we should have got it here. And if that wasn't the case, why wasn't Carmelo the man to lose to Trick? I think that would have been a great way to have Carmelo have a few more weeks on his reign with the United States champion, but you get an old rival in Trick Williams who finally defeats him at WrestleMania. I think would have made for a lot better of a moment. Obviously, I'm sure they're saying that for some type of big match, maybe at SummerSlam, if Trick manages to hold it for that long, or we maybe see them one day go after the world champion when one of them holds in, the other one can go after it. But yeah, I do like that Trick won. Feel bad for Sammy because I don't think he should be in this position. I don't want him as heel. I think he's perfectly fine as a babyface, but yeah, I feel like he kind of got thrown in the middle of this and has become the ultimate heel just because people want to see Trick and they want to see Carmella a lot more right now.
And for the next match on the card, we have the Demon Finn Balor taking on Dominic Mysterio. And it started off as a singles match, but it got updated on Sunday night that it would be a street fight. So it definitely made it a lot more interesting, and it definitely paid off, I would say, during the match. I feel like the in-ring action between these two without the weapons wasn't the greatest, but once the weapons got thrown in and that got involved, it definitely picked up a notch. We've seen the coup de grace through the table. We've seen Dominic Mysterio beat the hell out of Finn Balor with a kendo stick, then again with a chair, and there was a lot of offense from Dom to Finn Balor, but Finn would ultimately pick up the win.
Yeah, I am glad that Finn Balor did get the win here. It definitely was a much needed win for him. I think this can lead to bigger things for him. I still will say I don't know how I feel about the Demon having to come out to beat Dom. I don't think that was necessary, and I don't think the idea of kind of announcing it beforehand really updated things and kind of made things a lot bigger and grander. I still think if it was just plain Finn Balor, it would have been as cool. It means a lot more because I think this would also be his big separation moment of the Judgment Day. Finally turn him babyface, and yeah, hopefully that still happens for Finn. I hope he does. Maybe insert himself into that conversation with Penta now for the IC title, maybe as a friendly one-on-one. Hey, I'm sorry for the things I did. Let's have a match tonight for the champion. I won, you won, so let's do it. But who knows what's going to happen now. Dom has been a little bit injured here and there. He's been doing stuff in AAA, so I could see this as a time where you see Dom maybe take a step away from main roster stuff for a little bit and go focus on AAA until he's back 100%. And yeah, we can see him go after another champion of some sort.
And next up, we have Rhea Ripley defeating Jade Cargill, becoming the new Women's World Champion. So a very good match between these two. I kind of had a little bit of low expectations. I definitely thought that Rhea could carry a match, but I didn't know how far she could carry the match. But it turns out she didn't need to carry a match. Jade Cargill played her part really well. Rhea Ripley, of course, played her part really well. The entrances for both of them were amazing. We've seen a little bit of interference here and there from B-Fab, Mi Chin, and then eventually Io Sky came out to kind of help Rhea Ripley. But I definitely really enjoyed this match, and this was arguably one of the better matches on the entire WrestleMania night.
This match pleasantly surprised me. I did not expect Jade Cargill to come out and have this type of match. This is definitely my favorite match from her in WWE so far, and probably in her entire career at this point, if I'm being honest. But yeah, her and Rhea Ripley had a great dynamic. I didn't know, like I said, how to expect those two to clash because they have similar styles, which sometimes can lead to a little bit of a clash because they don't know how to kind of play the other side of it. But I think these women kind of traded out, looked equal as equals, even though obviously Rhea has that more of experience on Jade Cargill. But in the end, Rhea picked up the one. I think probably the right call. It adds somebody big on SmackDown again. So hopefully that makes something kind of things a bit more interesting. Unfortunately, Bianca Belair isn't there, so we all had the idea that maybe she would come back as the next opponent for Rhea. Obviously that won't happen, but yeah, I still think Rhea can have a very good run as long as we give her the right opponents. Who knows what that means for Io Sky as well, who I hope can also focus on herself now. Maybe she's the first opponent for Liv. But either way, glad that Rhea won. Glad that Jade Cargill can kind of have a moment to kind of say, hey, I have improved a lot coming into WWE, and here's what I have to offer now. So I think overall, this is a great moment for both women.
Yeah, hopefully we can move into a Rhea Ripley and Tiffany Stratton feud. We've seen a nice little teaser with them at Elimination Chamber when they were the final two, and they had a good little back and forth in that final two, and kind of Rhea Ripley got the win, of course. But yeah, I would definitely love to see that feud. And there's a lot of the kind of problem with the SmackDown Women's division was that we're seeing the same matches rotate over and over again. But add a new woman in Rhea Ripley, you kind of get a new match with Mi Chin, with B-Fab, with Jade, with all the women on the roster on SmackDown. So it'll definitely be an interesting time on SmackDown, and I think this will definitely make it a lot more watchable on every Friday. I did mention that John Cena would come out and mention the attendance on night 1 at 51,000, and then on night 2 he would come out and mention that it was 55,000. So, but what also happened was Kit Wilson and The Miz would come out, and they would kind of just come in, talk a little crap to John Cena, or we would get the big entrance of Danhausen. We would see a bunch of little Housens come up and either come up from the stage and they run down, they're doing the little curse dance and all that, and then Danhausen pulls up in a kind of coffin shaped car. I don't know what the hell that thing was, but it was pretty cool. It had his face on it. So I do believe Danhausen hit all his demand housings that he gave to Adam Pearce to hit before WrestleMania. He got his blimp, he got his car, he got his face on the car, he got his match, he met John Cena, he was in the Hall of Fame, he did everything that he wanted. So definitely a funny kind of moment for Danhausen. But he does eventually get to the ring. He has the little guys kind of low blow Kit Wilson and The Miz, and then eventually he himself would go and also low blow The Miz, have a little moment with John Cena, tell him he's a fan and all that. But definitely a really fun segment in between matches here.
Yeah, I'm glad they had something in between match times instead of just ads and kind of just blank screens to kind of tell you how long we got until the next match kind of begins. But yeah, I'm glad that Danhausen got his little Mania moment, and yeah, he got his got his good interaction with John Cena.
That would lead us to our main event, which would be Roman Reigns and CM Punk, where we would see Roman Reigns defeat CM Punk, taking that World Heavyweight title that he did clown on not too long ago. But this was a really, really good match. Definitely my favorite match on the entire WrestleMania night 1 and 2. I absolutely love the kind of back and forth between these two, with Punk at the end kind of just being too tired to finish the job versus the young boy in Roman Reigns, even though he's not very young. But it is definitely a really good match, and I enjoyed it. The entrances were really good. You kind of had this Roman kind of entrance for Roman Reigns. I definitely really enjoyed the entrances and the theme and the gear from CM Punk as well, kind of Harley Race inspired. I definitely enjoyed that. Really good stuff. But yeah, really good match. I enjoyed it. Best match on WrestleMania.
Yeah, this was absolutely perfect. I don't know how the production works for who gets like what segments, but from when we had the promo packages start for both men for this match to the very end, it was absolutely perfect. And going into it, I didn't have that much of a big fight feel. I know this is CM Punk and Roman Reigns, so I did kind of have some type of expectation for it, but this definitely outlived those expectations. The Misera Cantera song coming out was definitely something that I did not expect. I'm glad we finally got that in WWE. I'm sure they'll make a lot of money on the action figures when that comes out, but yeah, this was absolutely awesome. I did not expect the match to be this good either. It had me well entertained. I was basically I was biting on everything it kind of gave you, and yeah, unfortunately Punk loses here after a great title run. I don't think this will be the end of CM Punk in the World Championship picture. I'm sure he'll want to rematch, he'll want to come back to this title, but yeah, now that Roman Reigns is the champion, who knows what to expect. Will we see him be a little bit more active? Will he at least show up on Raws and on the Raws every few weeks, or will he just be right before the next pay-per-view and then the show itself, and then that's it until the next one? So yeah, there's a lot of questions to be answered, but overall an absolutely perfect match. And yeah, I'll also say this is probably my match of the year so far. Yeah, these two men killed it. CM Punk is the true best in the world.
Yeah, definitely. Roman Reigns and CM Punk tore it down. They had 33 minutes on this match, and they used every bit of that time. The crowd was fully into it. When Roman Reigns won, it definitely kind of took me out of it a little bit, just because I was really rooting for CM Punk to win, because he has been on Raw every single week. He has been defending the title relatively normal, you know what I mean, at least for someone of his stature, a big main eventer, older guy like him. But I really enjoyed his title reign. But Roman Reigns winning, like you mentioned, hopefully he can come around and stick around. That would be really, really good, because no one hates Roman Reigns. We just hate that he doesn't show up enough. So yeah, it'll be an interesting time for Roman Reigns. Maybe this could lead to a Seth interaction at some point. We could finally get that one-on-one at a SummerSlam or something like that. But for now, it does look like we might get a Backlash rematch between these two. I'm not too sure, because CM Punk was beat the hell up by the end of the match, so maybe he might take a little bit of time off to kind of sell those injuries and kind of be away for a little while with AJ Lee, since she mentioned she was going to be gone as well.
So that concludes WrestleMania 42, a show that definitely had a lot of expectations going into it. Some of the builds to the matches weren't great, but we kind of knew that the quality of some of the matches would definitely overachieve, especially on night 2. We definitely seen a lot more. But yeah, night 1 definitely is going to be the weaker night, I think, to a lot of people. Night 2 just absolutely clears with the main event, the Obafemi match to start, the Rhea and Jade Cargill match, I think, probably has surprised a lot of things, especially with Jade Cargill's performance. So yeah, overall a great night from night 2. But I think the biggest takeaway from all of this, and the kind of one of the negatives I think we have to say about it, is just the ad time. The time in between matches is a little bit insane. 15 minutes typically between bell to bell. So yeah, definitely something I think isn't necessarily just the WWE's fault. I know they have to have ads somewhere in these shows, but I think we can do better ways to kind of promote things and to kind of waste time in between and when you're not doing ads at all. So yeah, I think that's a big takeaway. But night 2 definitely killed it, and who knew that when you have good wrestlers wrestling, the shows are really good.
Yeah, definitely an interesting time. I really wish we had that EO match, and I definitely agree that there should have been way less ads, at least less time in between matches. We were getting relatively, 3.5 to 5 minutes in between every single match, and then they would talk and, mention other ads after that as well. So we're essentially getting 5 to 8 minutes of ads between every single match, and sometimes even more than that. But altogether, night 1, pretty mid, nothing too bad about it, but nothing great either. But night 2 was amazing, and I absolutely loved every single bit of it. But that's gonna wrap it up for WrestleMania 42. We definitely enjoyed the show, but let us know what you think about it in the comments, and we'll see you guys in the next one.